It's more along the lines of my neck, my back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now I understand.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Welcome to Free For All.
How long has that been going on?
Just a couple seconds.
Oh, okay.
We had a pretty good break.
We did. This is your source for all things geek. I didn't get that in earlier. I'm your host, Trey Elliott.
Josh failed me.
Joining me for the third time, Justin North.
Three-peat, baby.
Indeed. Three-peat for Three For All here.
Yep, that's right.
And
Please.
also, of course, Chuck Nally.
Hello.
Josh would be with us, but he has...
No, he's with us. He's been sitting right here.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, he's just been so quiet.
Just right over.
I mean, hand, foot, and mouth disease is just, body hurt taking over, and he can't touch, walk, or talk.
Manifestation of tech AIDS,
Mm-hmm.
some would say.
Yep. Yeah. The tech got its revenge.
So maybe you'll hear from him later in the show. Maybe not. Depends. My bet though is on not.
Yeah, I'm
just based on.
We could always mute his mic. That'll shut him up.
Been there, done that. Let's talk about some shows that we have been watching. First up, returning show premieres. Chuck, I believe you're first to bat here with Legends of Tomorrow.
Today! Anyway.
Yeah, this is
standing at the edge of tomorrow. Today.
I would assume.
Thanks. Thank you.
You're welcome.
A drop in.
Saved by the Bell is clearly better than the show. Thoughts?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Better than most shows.
That is also correct.
Those who are unfamiliar, Legends of Tomorrow is part of the Arrowverse. It has some leftover heroes and sometimes villains from some of the other shows, including White Canary. Let's see,
Suicide Squad-y.
Ish, yeah. And it's based off of DC comic properties, but the team has drastically changed since year one. There's two people that are still on it. This is the fourth season, and that is White Canary, aka Camelots, or I forgot her first name. Do you remember that when we said her chin's got that dimple so deep it can hold that much water? Anyway, and the acting phenomenon, the guy from Prison Break playing Heatwave is still on there. Everybody else is gone.
All right.
The Firestorm's gone. Rip Hunter's been gone.
Wait, wasn't he the guy with the freeze gun before?
No. Well, there were two guys from Prison Break.
One
of them was the guy that talked like this. That's Heatwave.
Okay.
But now they've got those two, and then they've got some girl named Isis who's got some. She is a very little known F-list DC character. She's got some sort of pendant that she wears that gives her the strength of some Egyptian goddess or something like that. And then there's also
into this.
Commander Steel, who
sounds like a porn star.
Checks out.
Yeah.
His skin can turn steel solid,
so
much like a porn star.
Yep.
Rock hard. But I mean, they didn't do a whole lot of that stuff. Okay, so the first three seasons they were trying to fix the time stream. This season the time stream's fixed, but in order to do that, last season they had to open up this gate or something. And Constantine, at the very end, comes up and says, "Whatever you guys did, you screwed up magic." And now they have
to fix magic
in the world. There's magical things that are happening, and they have to fix them. So the first episode is a unicorn at Woodstock, and apparently unicorns aren't nice creatures. They're bloodthirsty, heart-eating monsters. And this thing starts murdering all these hippies at Woodstock, and they have to stop it. I love it. It's awesome.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, we can't all be, super picky. You like a bunch of shit, too.
I mean,
fucking Chicago shows. Evan likes Paradise Goddamn PD. Josh likes fucking Channel Zero, that piece of garbage. We all like shitty stuff. This one's mine. I dropped Cartoon President. I'm picking this up. It's got Constantine in it. Matt Ryan is Constantine. He's awesome. The effects are good in the show. I don't give a shit what Evan says. For a CW show, is really good, and I like it. It's fun. It's something I can watch and not really have to pay too much attention to. And then when Constantine comes on, I get a comic book boner, and I sit back and relax and let nature do its course. So don't give me shit, Evan.
Okay, then.
I like it. It's fun.
It sounds like it. That you like it, not that it's fun. Moving on to one we both very much like, Chuck. Let's talk about some House of Cards.
All right.
Back after obviously quite a bit of controversy.
Yep.
With one Kevin Spacey not knocking on any tables this season.
No.
That motherfucker is dead.
He's dead.
I don't think that's a big spoiler, as everyone knew he was fired from the show, and the teaser was basically his gravestone.
Also, within the first 5 minutes, they talk about him being dead.
Yeah, it's very clear that they've.
Moving on.
From what I understand from the show, he is not only like never seen no picture of him or anything like that, but you know, I mean, they do reference him. Obviously, he's still that character still exists. But yeah,
a lot actually, which is good on Netflix for at least using their property that they created.
Well, and while Kevin Spacey obviously did some things that you know, are deserving of his current situation in life, Frank Underwood, the character, obviously did not do those things. And so, I mean, while obviously you can't put Kevin Spacey back on television, you know, I mean, again, Frank Underwood is just a fictional character. So
who also did some pretty shitty things.
I was going to say who did some really bad shit
in the context, obviously, of a fictional TV show. So I think it doesn't do any sort of disservice to any of the stuff that happened with Kevin Spacey to keep the characters,
acknowledge the character's existence. Yeah, for sure.
And really, I don't think you could do a season without that. So, anyways,
everybody else for the most part's back.
Yeah. Claire is obviously now the president. She has a very gray Oval Office. Is very
also still Queen MILF.
Yes,
keeping it toit.
Yep,
toit like a toiger.
Correct.
Hasn't murdered anybody with her vagina this season, but
no, right. Well, I mean, it's still young.
Yeah,
the show, not the vagina.
Vagina's middle aged, clearly.
As you wish.
But yeah, so I've only seen the first episode of the season.
As have I so far.
It will. And have you watched this as well? Just remind me. I'm sorry.
No, I have been watching House of Cards. I have not started the new season yet.
Okay.
I am excited to see what they do. I was worried, once all of the allegations against Kevin Spacey came out, where they were going to go. But yeah, I'm definitely interested to see where things go. Claire Underwood is a fantastic character. Robin Wright does a great job bringing her to life. So,
and she does some really cool stuff with the breaking the fourth wall. The adversary last season was Joel Kinnaman, who I thought did a fucking great job in that role that he played last year. This year, they brought on a couple of new veteran seasoned actors in Diane Lane and Greg Kinnear.
Oh, wow.
As it seems like he's going to be the main adversary this year.
Yeah.
He is ordered and incredibly calculated. He looks like he could sell you insurance, but he is absolutely going to fuck some stuff up.
Wow.
And Diane Lane seems like she's kind of caught in the middle somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an accurate description, I think.
So, yeah, Michael Kelly also turns out really good actor still. So there's some cool threads. It seems like they're going to pull on this year. I'll be interested to see how everything turns out.
It's a little weird to adjust to no actual Frank Underwood in the show. I think they do, at least again one episode in, as about as damn a job as they could given the situation so far.
Yeah. People need to lighten the fuck up. It's still House of Cards.
Yeah.
It feels like House of Cards.
It does
the
feel
writing is the same.
Yep.
The music. The tenseness, some of the
that's the thing that
shit.
Yeah, that's the thing that impressed me the most is like, oh, this still feels like the same show.
It's still House of Cards.
Like in the same way
relax.
that this almost to me, I draw a lot of parallels to Homecoming, which obviously not the same situation.
I was going to say the Connors.
Connors is another one, which shit, that show got better.
Better,
after
I
Roseanne left.
think so.
But Homecoming did a similar
as does
thing.
everything when Roseanne leaves.
That's fair. But no, the Homecoming to me, or not Homecoming, I'm sorry, Homeland, specifically because they had a male lead for the first 3 seasons, I think, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And then had basically the female secondary lead take the show over. But the show still felt exactly the same the next season, just obviously no male lead. And this kind of, again, for different reasons, feels very similar. I don't know. I'm excited to see it. They did say this is final season, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I'm not BoJack Horseman.
No, this is
Nope.
the final season.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll also be curious to see how they wrap it up. I've heard mixed things on that.
It's people who are
But-
still like peeing in their cornflakes. It's
Yeah.
a lot of it's sour
I've heard
grapes.
some like in-person accounts, some guys at work and stuff that watch it that weren't really liked the season overall, but just weren't happy with how they kind of tied things up. Which, to be fair, it's damn near impossible to end a TV show well. Only a few shows I feel like have done it really well.
Yeah.
You have that much time with these characters, it's hard to wrap it up in a couple final episodes. But I'm sure we'll obviously be talking about that on the show here in a few weeks. So moving on, I will real briefly talk about Riverdale, since no one at the table, I'm sure, gives a shit.
I do actually. I love Riverdale.
Justin does.
I'm just. I did not realize.
we all have character.
Have you
flaws.
watched
It's
both
fun.
the
Yes.
previous 2 seasons?
Yes,
Were they not fucking wonderful?
they were. I love that show. You and Evan got me started watching it, and I love it.
It's equal parts like genuinely like interesting, the drama.
Yep.
But also so fucking ridiculous
Oh yeah.
that I laugh so much of the show in like a way that I don't really feel like is demeaning to the show. At least I don't intend for it to be.
You hope it's not.
But so this season starts out, and I'll go somewhat light on the spoilers.
Sure.
But Archie is on trial for a murder he's clearly been framed for.
God damn this show.
His mother is his
During the trial,
counsel.
Veronica shows up and does a strip tease.
No, but man, if only.
Would that surprise you?
No, not even a little bit. It's kind of surprised me that didn't happen. Cheryl Blossom does show up just randomly in a diner with like basically a bathing suit top on, and no one can kind of explain why until she, of course, drops the one-liner that she spent the summer riding a motorcycle with some dude. Just like throws that line out
That
there,
was it.
mostly to explain why she has her tits hanging out.
I'm all right with that.
Because Archie is probably going to go to the big house.
Yeah.
He becomes the unofficial member or honorary member of the Serpents.
Yep,
and gets a
Southside.
serpent tattoo.
Oh sure, because you
So
know
that's a
when
thing
you're going to
that
be an
happens.
honorary member of
Yeah.
a bike gang, you go ahead and get inked for life.
Just the fact that they're in a fucking biker gang
Yeah.
and also still in high school
Yeah.
is absolutely wonderful. Everything about this season or this first episode of season 3 is all of the same shit that you have come to know and love about Riverdale's teen angstiness
And
Um,
eccentricities.
God damn it, it's so good.
Excellent.
I
Got-
can't wait to watch more.
Got one more Renew Council for you.
Oh yeah,
The Good Cop. Colin Hanks and Tony Danza.
canceled.
Canceled.
Damn it, I may not go and watch that now.
Yeah.
I intended to go back and watch.
I'm about
I really
halfway
like
through.
that
You guys
I liked
talked
it a
about
first
lot.
episode.
Yeah, you guys talked about it, and so I watched the first 3 or 4 episodes, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a well done show, but it was one of those things where, as I was watching it, it was like, I don't know if this is going to have wide enough appeal.
Groban's good though.
Oh no, Groban was great. Groban. I
Yeah.
really didn't have very high expectations. Of
What do you mean we got canceled?
Thanks, Tony.
Hold me
no problem.
closer, Tony Danza.
Angela.
Angela.
Does Groban sing at all in this
Nope.
show?
Not a lick.
He pushes his glasses up a lot like Justin does, but that's about it.
Astute observation. I don't ever do that. I do the side adjust,
I usually
not
try
the front
and-
adjust.
Yeah.
I adjust my contacts, just going right in.
To both fingers, just
Yeah.
straight into the.
I gotta adjust my.
And that is
Tax.
all of
What is
the returning premieres. Midnight Texas did come back, but I did not get a chance to watch it, so we'll talk about that in 2 weeks.
It's a miracle that show's still on.
I was gonna say,
Man, that show's
I-
good.
It's
I enjoyed
stupid.
I enjoyed watching the first season, but it was kind of one of those things where it was super ridiculous. Like you were talking about how everybody's got those things. That show is not one that I'm gonna ever watch again. But for the handful of episodes that I watched of the first season, it was like, there's just no way. Like I just kind of enjoyed it because I thought it was just gonna be the one season and be done because there's no way it was ever gonna come back. But
That's
it's
Ghost
back.
Wars on a slightly
I'm
better
excited.
scale. That's
I mean,
Ghost Wars level.
literally everything ever in existence is better than Ghost Wars. So yes,
Oof. I don't know. Paradise PD's up there, man. It's bad.
it's bad, but not as bad as Ghost Wars.
It's pretty bad.
Moving on to some new show premieres.
Yeah, keeper
we
cut.
got some keeper cuts going on here.
Josh, you never gave us yours, so hurry
Shocker.
up. Hurry it up.
The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, being sued by some Satanist, in news we did not cover, for a good reason because it's a dumb story. This is obviously a re-envisioning. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say they're being sued by Satanists because they're misrepresenting Satanists.
They use some kind of statue from like the Satanic Temple. And
Yeah.
the Satanists freaked out about it. It's dumb.
No, the reason why they're suing is so they can get some free pub.
Oh yeah,
That's it.
duh.
This case will get dropped just because every single television show and movie probably in the history of history has either had a cross, a Christian cross, a Celtic cross, or Christ on a cross. Like Daredevil, for instance. Daredevil's not going to get sued. It's in a Catholic church. Of course, there's going to be Christ on the cross.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the most that and Buddha are the two most notable statues, symbols in the history of mankind. And they can't win this. They're not going to win. They just want publicity. And now they got some more.
Yeah.
Because of the millions of people who listen to Free For All. Thanks, Trey.
Hey, sorry, man.
How
let's talk-
dare you turn this
How
wonderful show
dare you?
into a pulpit for those Satanists?
How dare you, sir?
How could you?
You fraud!
I have
Scoundrel!
not.
Scallywag!
Ne'er-do-well!
We're in like 1920s. Britain.
Ragamuffin!
Knave!
Poppycock!
Okay, see now.
Poppycocker.
Yes.
All right. Sabrina.
Yes.
This is obviously Netflix. Netflix. God damn it.
Netflix. Dude, why have they not made a cereal called Netflix?
Because it got canceled.
But
Wow.
It was a cereal, though.
tip your waitresses.
S.
Their reimagining of Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Yep.
Ozark.
A once popular show on ABC, if I remember right. With the talking
It was
cat
on
and
whatever with, it was like Boy Meets World Power
Yeah.
Hour.
Yep.
shit.
So,
TGIF.
yeah, whatever that was.
That's TGIF on ABC.
There you go.
Anyways, this is a little bit more serious. Feels a bit Riverdale-ish. It was initially going to be on the CW as a Riverdale crossover.
It does have a
I really
bit
hope
of
that
vibe.
still happens. I desperately want those two worlds to collide.
I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think this show is nearly as goofy as a lot of the Riverdale
And
stuff
it's
is.
the first episode, at least, which is, of course, all I've seen so far.
I've seen some other stuff in it. I haven't seen a whole
Gotcha.
episode.
It's I really
dark.
enjoyed
It's
this, though.
fucking dark.
There's some really cool stuff. I think they handle like the witchcraft part of it very well. All the characters are interesting. The storyline seems, though somewhat predictable, like pretty well written, and
I love what they
fleshed
do
out.
with Salem.
Yeah, the Salem stuff is pretty neat.
Panther, comma, black.
God damn. What did you guys think?
I think I said it all.
That's fair.
No, I thought it was cool. I thought the some of the stuff. Now, some items were a little predictable, like her getting her ass threatened at the in the woods with those high school girls or witch coven girls or whatever. But some of the other stuff is pretty good. I like Miranda Otto, I believe is her name, from Lord of the Rings fame. In this, she's dry, but she's supposed to be, and she's good. I like what they did with Salem. Some of the stuff was like pretty scary, like that stuff in the maze with the scarecrow monster.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit, run!
Yeah, this is definitely a more kind of grown-up take on the show than what ABC
There's
was basically
there's a
sitcom.
lot of blood in this.
Yeah.
And ritual sacrifice later on, and like
There was I was
it's a dark show.
I actually kind of shocked at first at the jugular stab that happened
Oh yeah.
fairly early on.
Sometimes you just got to stab a jugular.
Hey man, sometimes you just gotta go straight for the jugular. No, I thought it was pretty good.
I like the lead. She's pretty charismatic. She's good.
She kind of does a similar thing for in my mind to the lead in the CBS Star Trek show, where I'm more invested in what happens to her than necessarily what exactly the storyline is or any of the other characters.
Yeah, that's fair. More invested in the characters in the story.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I thought all of the acting was really good. This is for Josh. Specifically, I was excited to see Lucy Davis of Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip fame playing one of the aunts. She plays Hilda. But yeah, I thought overall the performances were good. It was shot really well. Everything was, it was up there for me as far as the production value. So I'll give it a shake.
Yeah, it's definitely a keeper for me.
I am also going to keep this show for sure.
Yeah, I'll keep it for the
I'll
time
probably
being.
finish it this week, actually.
Oh, wow.
Josh?
I wish I was that caught up.
Josh, keeper cut. Really? That's surprising. Did you guys hear that?
Yeah,
Josh, speak up a little.
Still can't quite make it out.
Yeah.
No.
Sorry, man. All right, well,
How about Evan?
the world may never know. Evan, thumbs up, keep. He didn't give me detailed notes like ratings and
All that stuff like usual.
all that Evan shit. He's turns out been a bit busy. So yeah, he's keeping it.
Cool. I was trying to figure out where I knew the lead girl from, Sabrina. She is the daughter in Mad Men. She is Sally Draper. It has been bugging the shit out of me. I just IMDb'd it. Cool. So that's Sabrina. And I don't know what the next show is. Tell me a story.
Pass. Oh, you mean the TV show?
Yeah, still pass, but
Actually, hard pass.
this is a CBS All Access original.
They like to swear and show partial, sort of dick, sort of tit,
Yeah,
lots of ass crack.
there's some almost nudity
Mhm.
in this. This is supposed to be a modern day kind of dramatic take on classic fairy tale stories. Three Little Pigs, Red Riding Hood,
Hansel and Gretel.
Hansel and Gretel. All those
Those are the three main ones that they're doing.
well,
Well, at least according to the intro.
so here's my thing.
Gross. Put that back. Introducing.
a few kind of issues with the show besides the fact that it just overall kind of generally fucking sucks and is boring. I don't need another goddamn show to talk about Trump ever again. I'm living that shit every day.
Yep.
I'm aware that the world is fucking awful right now because I'm not a big fan of our president, to say it very mildly. Like, I don't need some lady freaking out about bringing children into the world because Trump is president. First of all, it's fucking stupid. And, he's only going to, at worst, he's going to be 6 more years. So your kid's going to be 5. He'll be fucking fine. Or she or whatever. But also, I just don't need that, part of the drama and anything. I'm so happy they cut it from the Connors, whereas Roseanne had it. Murphy Brown, I was out immediately because of that. I don't need anything about Trump in my fucking TV.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, though I actually enjoyed the first episode of Murphy Brown just because I agreed with everything she was saying.
Well,
but
I do too. It's
I know
not
you
so
do.
much
I
that
know. No, but I get it. I've literally taken a gigantic step back from Twitter because I just don't want to have to deal with that stuff.
Is that why you didn't vote on our FFA poll?
Probably.
You got to get on
Way
our
to go.
polls, man.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I will turn on
Democracy loses.
I will turn on notifications for you guys' tweets so that I can make sure to jump in on all those.
Good man.
from now
Thank you.
on.
As soon as it comes out, hit that poll. Okay.
We'll do it.
But
I'll hit
besides
that poll so hard.
that small complaint, my bigger complaint is that they try to make it so cool and hip and we're gonna tell the story and be real super subtle about how we mix in all of these fairy tales that there's almost
None of it
it's almost too obscure.
It's
Gotcha.
super obscure. You don't know
There's
who.
some bank robbers with pig masks.
I guess
The girl
those guys
gets
are
asked to put on a red rain jacket, which she then refuses.
Yeah.
So I guess she's Little Red Riding Hood.
The brother sister Hansel Gretel, I guess, but
I didn't even catch that one.
Kim Cattrall is the Wicked Witch with the poison apple, because she's in this too. There's 2 wolves, but I don't know who they are. It's so subtle that if it wasn't for the incredibly obvious and albeit badass intro,
Yeah.
you wouldn't know who. This was a show about stories, fairy tales at all.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that I didn't take the time to watch this
It
yet
sucks.
because I Well, the trailer that I saw for it was cut together like the intro, and it's pretty badass looking, and it looks like it could be something really cool.
And maybe it gets better, but
well,
man, it makes a bad
I
first
won't know.
impression. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is even, you know, you can, and I can understand where they're coming from, trying not to, you know, go ham-fisted with it and beat you over the head with the fairy tale stuff, because that could get really stupid really quick. But, you know, if it's so subtle that smart people, you know, people that I consider intelligent, despite what Josh says about you guys, if you guys can't tell who's who in, you know, then you've gone too subtle. You've backed off too far. You know, so you can't go too far either direction.
Yeah, I don't want to hit me over the head with it, but like, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, a little bit of like, I don't want to watch a really poorly written, incredibly boring drama.
Yeah,
that just happens to reference a red like jacket every now and then.
Yeah,
And pig masks.
Not what I need. Yeah, and pig masks.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Also, the acting is terrible.
It's a hard cut for me.
The acting is god awful. Like, what's going on with the gay dudes that killed that one guy?
I don't know or fucking care.
That's Hansel and Gretel, by the way.
Oh, okay. I guess.
Because the girl comes in, she's like, she saves him, and that's her brother. The smaller
yeah,
one.
it is. Yeah. I remember that part now. I don't know. That whole thing.
Anyway,
it also
and I
feels
think
like
the
it's being a
teacher
little, like,
from
risque
Game Night,
for the sake of it.
I think the teacher from Game Night's one of the wolves. I'm not sure though. It doesn't matter. Cut the fuck out of this. I'm not gonna watch it ever again.
Yeah. It's the opposite of the other CBS original that's not Star Trek that I really want to get back to, $1, but I have not yet. That show was real good.
God,
I'll have to check that out.
Evan got so mad at you when you didn't know the story for $1. So funny. He was like, "It's all it's about is that $1, son of a bitch." Speaking of Evan, he says, "Tell me a story." Cut. It's real bad. Josh.
All right, moving on.
Man, you're not even gonna let him talk. Okay.
Yeah, whatever. He's being too fucking quiet over there. Homecoming, a new Amazon original joint, starring one Julia Roberts.
Mm-hmm.
First time on the small screen.
That's right.
And this is based on a podcast, a Gimlet podcast that I recommend everyone go listen to. Chuck, I'll let you start. I think you're pretty different on this particular show.
Yeah. Well, the podcast also kind of in little chunks, very similar to this. Also took a while for me to get into. It starts off kind of slow. It builds some of the mystery and intrigue, but kind of small little bits and pieces at first, at least. The show is carbon copy, almost like verbatim what happens.
In parts it is.
Like almost
so far anyway.
Yeah. Including the bird outside and the conversation she has with Bobby Carnival. The guy who plays man, I wish they would have gotten David Schwimmer because he was so good. He was easily my favorite part in the podcast. He's kind of a weaselly asshole, just looking out for himself and makes it feel like you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, but he really just
has to do his job.
So he
better himself.
Yeah. So but this I didn't like the way it was shot. Some of the times there's like huge, like if you're looking on a letterbox widescreen TV, probably almost half of the screen is gone, and it's like almost cell phone-ish size, like camera angle.
Oh wow!
It threw me off. Trey actually, I'm sure he'll talk about that in a second. It threw me off, and I was like, what the fuck? I couldn't concentrate on anything. And everybody's raving about Julia Roberts. She just talked. She didn't do anything for me. The main person who takes the role of Oscar Isaac, who's also in the podcast, who's they can do no wrong in my eyes. He's not that good.
That is correct.
He plays guitar and sings very well.
I watched Inside Llewyn Davis.
Yeah, man. Okay.
Anyway,
sorry.
But yeah, that guy's not that good.
Really?
I didn't like him at all.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's something to be said. You know, cool cinematography is cool, but when it's so different that it distracts from the story you're trying to tell, then you've gone too far.
So
conversely,
yeah. So I just
on the other side, there's Kevin Smith and his single camera.
yeah, so I was a big fan of this podcast before the show ever hit. Both seasons are really, really good. Again, go check them out. Most stuff that Gimlet Media does is really good. But yeah, so I'll admit I miss Oscar Isaac, because who wouldn't? Kathleen Keener as well. I really like who's the Julia Roberts character in the podcast. But I think the thing I'm probably closest to agreeing with you, Chuck, on is Julia Roberts. I mean, she's not bad, but she's not like, oh shit, like Julia Roberts going to win awards for this.
That's what they're talking about.
And I think part of that is that Julia Roberts is on TV, and the name of Julia Roberts still, for reasons that I don't quite understand, like it has a whole lot of weight behind it still to this day, even though she hasn't been like the phenom that she used to be in like 10 years. But anyway, I don't think she's bad. I just think she's there, and she's definitely the least exciting part of the show for me. The kid who plays Walter Cruz, who's again Oscar Isaac's character on the podcast, I actually thought he was really good. I mean, again, nothing happens too much in the first episode. There's no like, Emmy reel like scene in that first episode.
The biggest thing would be the fight, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
But it just kind of happened.
For me though, the cinematography is like the shining fucking star. So this is the guy who is created the show, or not created it, but is the showrunner and is directing the show and everything, is the guy who did Mr. Robot. They do the like, it's almost 2/3. Like it almost looks like the black on either side of the flashbacks is the same width as whatever the actual screen is. It's super narrow.
Yeah.
And it is a little odd to get used to at first, but I'll admit that I'm terrible about paying attention to television when I'm watching it sometimes, and I get easily distracted, and it's really easy to keep up with when we're in a flashback and when we're not, because they let you know real loud and clear, because the aspect ratio changes. But even just when it's the full 16:9, like normal aspect ratio on the present day stuff, it's almost shot like single, what is it, that shitty fucking pretentious ass movie that Josh likes, Birdman, whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's almost shot that way, where it's meant to look like
You
one
could have
continuous
said
long
that
shot.
one long shot from True Detective season 1.
Also that, but
That
the
would
first
also
thing that
be-
came to mind was that shitty movie.
You just wanted to make fun of Josh since he
Also
can't
that.
speak.
It's not my fault he won't speak up. Anyway, like they'll like literally like Julia Roberts at one point is like walking out of her office, and instead of like even just following her out of the office, they literally like crane the camera up over the wall, and you like see in between the two sections of drywall, and they drop down, they follow her. A big part of the podcast is these phone conversations that David Schwimmer has with Kathleen Keener, and those are like, I was really happy to see brought over to the television show. There's literally like a solid 5 minutes worth of her just walking and talking on the phone, and you don't even see Bobby what's his face.
Carnival.
Yeah, he like, I mean, obviously you see him a couple times, but the bulk of that conversation is you hearing his like kind of distorted voice over the phone, and the effect of that to me worked really well. I think a little bit know what's going to happen in the show. Have you listened to both seasons of the podcast, Chuck?
I did.
So yeah, I'm really interested to see all of that play out.
Is there going to be more? Because they
spoil that.
Is it just 2 seasons? They're going to do more? Because the last season that they aired was like 2 years ago.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
It was about a year ago.
It's over a year ago.
Was it?
I think so.
Either way, they're definitely doing more podcast content.
Okay, good. Because like the way they left it, I was like, is that fucking it? Because
No,
they didn't say stay tuned for season 3.
Well,
of
but
Home
also when
Team."
you're dealing with
Gimlet Media production.
that many famous people, including Oscar Isaac, who's in all kinds of different
Yeah.
stuff and very
It's
busy.
just talking. He can literally mail that in.
That's true. He could make
It's
it.
fucking
either way,
talking.
man. I don't know. I thought that the cinematography was less distracting and more interesting enough that it's damn near like a character in that show.
That's
And
cool.
is like was the most fascinating thing about the first episode. Again, I know where the story goes,
Mhm.
so it will not always be like that, I don't think. But this first episode, the characters are almost kind of just fucking bystanders, like waiting to, just kind of they get out of the way of the fucking amazing camera work.
A year and 3 months.
Okay. And it was, I don't know how long it was, but I think it was about a year between season 1 and 2, so they're obviously a little behind, but not anything too crazy. I also can totally see them putting out the 3rd season very soon.
Amy
Considering
Sedaris, also in that.
she is.
She is excellent.
I'm
actually.
curious who they get to play that character in the show. That character hasn't been introduced
Amy
yet.
Sedaris is free. What if it's Rachel
That's
Dratch?
fair. Oh, that would be unfortunate.
Just a couple of
Like real
ugly
unfortunate.
dames from Saturday Night Live cutting it up. I like
This
Rachel
one is a
Dratch, though.
definite keep for me.
Cut.
I'm gonna check it out.
It's also like 8 30-minute episodes, so it is a quick watch.
Evan said, damn it, man. There's 2 more people who need to give their
I'm sorry,
opinions.
I'm sorry.
Evan said, what the fuck you think you're
It's
doing?
not the
Norm?
answers to racehorse for rappers.
Just nosing around. Fuck out of here.
Horsing around.
That's right, BoJack Horseman. Homecoming's a keep for Evan. Josh told me what it was earlier, but I forgot. Go ahead.
Fair enough. Titans from the new DC streaming service.
Yes.
Tell me what you thought.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's usually something after that. Okay, so Titans is an adaptation of Teen Titans for DC's. It's actually launched their new streaming service, DC Universe, for the most part, anyway.
Yeah.
It's their headliner right now. So it's the story of Robin, Beast Boy, Starfire, and Raven getting into some shenanigans. But the thing that everybody focused on from what was it, Comic-Con was Robin saying "fuck Batman." What they need to focus on is the brutality of the fight choreography. It is uncaged
Wow.
aggression. There is one scene, and it made my stomach clench, like tension-wise, because I'd hate to anybody ever fucking do this to me. There's one other time it ever happened in TV. It was on The Punisher when Punisher created Jigsaw.
Okay.
But Robin takes this guy's head and smashes it through a car window, and then puts his head on where the window and the car door meet.
Oh, no.
Just
And then just drags it across.
twice.
Oh.
It is bad.
Hard to watch.
It is bad, and he doesn't. Dude, Robin doesn't give a fuck. He is stepping on necks. He is like breaking arms. You see bones shoot out from like arms and legs.
Now, is
They
this,
went for the mature, like
Immediately.
TVMA real hard.
is this is this Dick Grayson, Jason
Yes,
Todd?
Yeah.
Dick Grayson.
okay.
Yes, because Jason Todd actually shows up. Spoilers in a few episodes. They also use.
Do they tell him to cut it the fuck out?
I think so.
Okay.
It's a confrontation for sure because
Yeah.
he's using batarangs that are shaped like razor sharp R's.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So and he's still using his bow staff and all that kind of stuff.
All
So
right.
he's still and he splits them apart to use them as
yeah.
the sticks. But he's a badass, and I think Can't Hardly Thwaites. That's his name. He changed his first name from I think it was Brendan to Can't Hardly. As well.
Yeah, as he
Hyphenated
should've.
word. Yeah. So I think he does a great job.
Okay.
Starfire, they haven't really delved too much into her. She's not nearly as bad as I thought she was going to be because
Agreed.
she absolutely fucks up a room of mobsters on accident. But
Nice.
those dudes are not coming back for the second show. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, they're real dead.
I think Raven is awesome. I like the girl who's playing her, and I like what they did with some of her powers, and some
Okay.
of it's scary as shit. And they're obviously going to introduce Trigon at some point.
Okay.
And then Beast Boy, they didn't really get into too much. On the first episode, at least, is probably my least favorite part. They didn't show him that much. The CG was a little muddled, but I mean, it's TV. It was better than I thought it was going to be.
TV CG.
Yeah, it
Are
was
we talking
like
about like CW?
better than
CG?
Yeah.
better than CW.
Okay.
But not
But
like Game
worse
of
than
Thrones.
Netflix. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, CW is passable.
I mean, it's
for the
also a
most part.
giant green tiger in the middle of the woods eating something because he's hungry. So
Gotta suspend your disbelief a little bit
a
anyway.
little bit. Second episode. Did you watch the second episode?
I have not. I've only
Holy
seen the first.
shit! It is brutal as fuck, man. And Hawk and Dove. First of all, do you know Hawk and Dove?
No.
They're like a regular, like normal person team up. They're lovers.
Mhm.
Dove is the girl. Hawk is the man.
Oh no, I know who they care. Yeah.
Yeah. Hawk is huge. He's a man mountain.
Yeah,
and
he's
he
huge.
swears like a sailor. And there's a scene at the very beginning of it. It's not really spoilers, where they're torturing him, and it's kind of gross. And I'm like, but he's still like talking shit with them and stuff like that. And then they're just like, all right, pull out his dick, cut it off. He's like, whoa! And that's when Dove comes in and starts slicing people with her fucking wings and stuff, like slicing them to ribbons.
Wow.
And then like towards and they bring in a DC, a very little known DC super villain group called the Nuclear Family.
Okay.
Who are like, they imagine a family like mine. There's a wife, a husband, like an older son, a middle daughter, and a dog.
Okay.
Imagine somebody has been treating them like making them evil for decades, and then giving them the Captain America Super Soldier Serum.
Ooh.
So they're super strong,
Yeah.
very brutal. They know a bunch of spy tactics and stuff like that. But since they're called the Nuclear Family, they're all from like the 50s era. Hey there, sport. And it's really cool how they did with that.
Okay.
So, I fucking love the show. I'm subscribing to the DC Universe app because
Of that show.
of the first 2 episodes of that show.
Wow.
And from what I understand, they introduced Doom Patrol, the second show that they're putting on in like the 3rd or 4th episode, and it's amazing. It's the highest rated show of this season so far, but most people just love it.
Nice.
Sorry, Trey, I totally dominated that
You're
conversation.
good. I agree with everything you said. I don't have a ton to add. You're obviously more the DC guy, but I obviously, because I'm not the DC guy, was curious if I'd like this. I didn't love the trailer. It's really good. Good enough that I will be stealing somebody else's login to watch this show going forward. Yeah, I'm excited to see more. Indeed, they know that shit happens. And then last but not least,
Wait,
sorry, keep.
Okay, Evan is gonna keep it. Josh probably didn't watch it, but I know he's gonna keep it because he's got a boner for Robin. So
That's correct.
Tim Drake Robin, not Dick Grayson, but he'd put the dick in Tim. So
Turns out. And then last but not least, and I think this is just me and Chuck again here. Patriot Act, a new show on Netflix, new political current events style talk show.
they had to fill in the Michelle the void left by Michelle Wolf.
Indeed.
I actually watched some of the first episode.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
So
Patriot Act.
Yeah.
How about that?
so what'd you guys think?
I thought it was good. Kind of scary. I mean, this is essentially the standing upright version of Last Week Tonight
It
so
is
far.
indeed.
Of course, there's not like some of the shenanigans, like
Right.
Weird Al showing up and playing "Please Don't Nuke Us, North Korea" or anything. But he does make some pretty good insights. It's clearly on the left, like maybe even more on the left than John Oliver is.
I don't know about that, but
It's real far, but it's entertaining. I'm a Democrat now. I used to consider myself somewhat neutral, but it's entertaining enough for me. I'll probably keep it, but I know it's going to get canceled because Netflix can't keep shows like that for some reason. I still don't know why they canceled Joe McHale.
I mean, because Joel McHale sucks is probably the main reason for that. But no, I like was it Hanan Massage? Is that how you say it?
Hanan Massage. Do, 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 do. Hanan Massage. Do, 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 do.
No?
No, Josh kept it going.
Oh,
Yeah,
I couldn't. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
he's a soft talker.
Yeah.
Seinfeld will tell you all about
I mean, a dick in your mouth will do that.
it.
What? They always say I'm in my elbows, up to my elbows in dudes when I leave, so that's
That
what
is
you
true.
get.
That's
That
true.
is what
That's
you
fair.
get, her
That's
pants.
I mean, it's also your fault for fucking all those dudes. But
Oh, that's fair.
anyways, no, I
You
think
win this
he's-
round, Elliot.
I like the guy. I think he's really funny. To me, this was as simple as he is doing, to me, the exact same fucking thing that John Oliver's doing. I mean, obviously there are some small differences, but the formula to me is very clearly the same. Like, fact, joke about that fact. Fact. It's educational, but also I'm going to make fun of it. Obviously, I lean to the left. Obviously, I'm going to give shit to people on the right. Like, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, standing up.
Yeah, and you even have another layer of similarity in that John Oliver is not from the United States, and
Got to start at the Daily Show.
yeah. Well, but I'm just saying, like, how do you pronounce his name again?
Hanan Massage.
Hanai Massage. He talks about it. He's an American, but his parents were not born
Right.
in America, so he has some.
He's got that perspective.
He's got some different perspective, which I actually really enjoyed because a lot of times when we get the perspective of minority groups on current events through television, a lot of times it's these secondary characters that are on a show for an episode. It's all dramatized, and then we never see them again. Once they've made their point, then you don't see them again. But since he's hosting that show, you kind of get that kind of take. You get that kind of
That's fair.
point of
I'll
view.
admit, I only because it seemed to me like it wasn't obviously important to watch the show in any sort of chronological order. I just watched the most recent episode, which at the time was the Amazon episode, where he talks all about Amazon.
I just watched
And
the
it's-
first episode.
Because of
was
that,
on
it's political, but like political from more of a financial
Mhm.
tax break sort of standpoint. So he doesn't really bring his perspective as the son of an immigrant
right.
into it. And so there's really no like on that particular topic, there's not that kind of different perspective.
Well, and that's
so it just
and that's
maybe that
okay,
didn't
though.
come through because of that. But
but that's okay. It's not so much that that's going to be something that he's going to focus on when he sits down to write every script for the show.
it shouldn't.
And
Obviously.
shouldn't, but I just think that when things that are related to race or nationality come into play, it's cool that there's a different take on it. But
Yeah, absolutely.
I am interested in continuing to watch it. Hopefully, with the current climate being what it is, and so many people being so dissatisfied and so unhappy with what we have going on, hopefully they will be able to keep it going.
Yeah, I wish the show the best, and I can see checking it out every now and then. But man, it's one of those things like I just can't. I don't need two of that show in my life.
Well,
I wish you all the best is also never something good. Like you never say that to somebody and then expect to see them again
well,
or
but-
watch again or drive again or whatever.
Well, just to kind of put a little bit of different perspective on there being two of those shows out there. Last Week Tonight is super famous. John Oliver is brilliant, and it's a great show. It's also on HBO. There are a lot of people who don't subscribe to HBO.
That's fair.
Won't subscribe to HBO for a news/comedy program.
They should.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I subscribe, and I think he's great, but Netflix
has a broader reach.
has a much
Agreed.
broader reach, and there are people, there are a lot of people who subscribe to both, and they don't need two of those shows in their life. But for those who just have Netflix,
Yeah, no, it's
good that it's out there.
Very, very good alternative.
yep.
I hear they're doing good things with stand-up comedy.
That's what I hear too.
And
Just,
Lilyhammer.
Little Birdie told me. For me though, unfortunately, it is probably going to be a cut on that one for the most part.
Keep with a leash.
All right,
A short one.
and that's it for new shows. Moving on to some finished shows.
Moving right along.
Ozark ended like I don't know, month
Last
and a half
year
ago.
sometime.
It's been a while. Season 2 was more real dark shit from the life of Marty Bird. You don't watch the show at all, right, Chuck? I know I constantly forget.
I've seen maybe 5 minutes of it.
Okay. Do you watch the show at all?
No, I heard you guys talk about it on previous shows when it first came out, and while it sounded like it was really well made, it did not sound like something I wanted to watch. I have
Yeah,
enough.
so
I have enough stress and depression in my life without it.
Well, yeah. So it does add that to your life. Man, this show continues to be a show in which all of the main characters, despite their best efforts, continue to just sink farther and farther into being totally fucked.
Yeah.
So yeah, first season, Marty Bird moves to the Ozarks to try to figure out how to launder a bunch of money for a drug cartel, so that he can unfuck a situation his partner got him into, where he laundered a bunch of money, and now Marty Bird's basically just trying to make that back. Some shit goes wrong, shocker, in season 1, and so season 2 is just about him getting out of all the bullshit that he got into in season 1. They introduce a great new character who's basically like the fixer / lawyer for the cartel, kind of like the the face of the company sort of thing. She is weirdly like kind of motherly, but also real fucking intimidating. The entire show, she's a really great addition to the cast. She is like doesn't take any shit for sure. It's kind of hard to explain without you guys obviously knowing any of the characters and anything, but whole lot of people get murdered. They killed off like 3 or 4 main characters.
Wow.
In season 2. To be fair though, it's an ensemble cast. I mean obviously
About a drug cartel.
yeah.
There's guns to be some bodies.
Man, and in some brutal fucking ways people die too. It's yeah, that show doesn't fucking hold back in that regard at all. But by the end of it, you're in an interesting place. The whole second season are trying to basically build a casino or get basically a law passed so that they can build a casino that they're then gonna launder money through.
Right.
It's like a riverboat casino type of thing.
Yeah.
So I guess spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen season 2. They get that built by the end, but in the process, piss off like I forget what they call them, but like basically like the Dixie Mafia, like the fucking down home like mafia.
They're called rednecks.
And they like literally like one of the last things that happens in the season is they basically bomb Marty's office, and clearly that's going to be where season 3 comes in. I'm really looking forward to some sort of all-out cartel Dixie Mafia fucking war.
Wow.
In season 3, and Marty Bird in the middle of it. But man, this show is it is really dark. It is really depressing. If like you're in a kind of a dark mood, it's maybe not the best thing for you to watch. But that said, it's incredibly well acted. It's incredibly well written. The characters are like super engaging and interesting and dynamic in a lot of ways. Shit happens that you don't see coming all the time. Like every episode, something happens, you're like, holy shit. And granted, man, it's just me, but I don't know, man. That show is worth watching, despite how god awful depressing it can be at times. So if you have not, other than knowing that a casino gets built, I try to leave it pretty spoiler free.
Sure.
So go watch that show. Ozark is wonderful.
Does sound interesting.
Moving right along, the now canceled Iron Fist.
Thank merciful God.
Finished season 2. I liked season 2.
Season 2 was okay.
I mean, it wasn't great. It wasn't the best Marvel has ever done.
It was Citizen Kane compared to season 1.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, season 1 was rough.
I like the intro. Okay, so second season takes up essentially after all the events of what happened in the Defenders.
Right.
Months down the line, he's living with Colleen, still being the Iron Fist. She closed up shop as far as teaching is concerned, and shenanigans ensue.
Yeah, there's ninjas, and
fighting
he has to fight the Triad.
Iron Serpent. Is that who that is?
Maybe. There's a lot of different colored fists in this season. There's a red fist at one point, and there's a white fist. There's probably a blue fist somewhere that I missed.
Red Fist.
Oh, is this turning into a Dr. Seuss book all of a sudden?
It kind of is.
Red Fist, Blue Fist.
One fist, two fist, red fist, blue fist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a Dr. Seuss book and also a porn.
That happens to be the best thing about Iron Fist so far, is what we just did.
That was, yes, the two of you coming up with the Dr. Seuss title. That's better than at least all of season 1, probably most of season 2.
Man, the worst thing about season or Iron Fist getting canceled is I really like Colleen.
True story. I hope she shows up in something else at some
Did you
point.
finish this?
No, not yet.
Okay. Do you care?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So he loses the Iron Fist. I think the middle sag of this show, and a lot of Netflix shows have poorly dubbed the middle sag, what the middle of the season, usually 4, 5, 6, just kind of drags hard. Something happens where you're just like, really, again? And this one was Iron Fist just not doing anything. He's captured. He's beat the shit. And then it happens again. Like, and then they wind up taking his Iron Fist from him. So I'm pretty sure it's the Iron Serpent. I think he's an actual comic book character.
I'm sure
too.
he is. I just don't
He has
taking the deep dive.
he has 2 Iron Fists.
Okay.
And he's murdering people. He's taking up the sacred mantle of the immortal Iron Fist, and he's murdering people with the help of that dude from the Triad. Other shenanigans ensue. They take it back from him. So there's some really cool fight choreography.
Yeah, but does the guy who plays Danny Rand actually execute any of it well?
He doesn't, but Colleen does. She's a badass fighter, man.
Yeah,
and then at the end of that, she actually
whatever.
takes the Iron Fist. She is the immortal Iron Fist right now, and it's awesome. She's got a glowing white fist, and she's got like her sword, her katana.
So
And
It also lights up. When
so
she
at
holds
the
it.
end
Yeah,
of season
it's
2,
badass.
the end of season 2 ends with her being the Iron Fist.
She is the immortal Iron Fist. Yeah, it's cool when she's holding the katana in her hand and she's activating the Iron Fist. The whole sword lights up.
See, now that could be
It's
there's some
pretty
cool way
to take
badass,
it.
and she's a good actress. Man, I really miss Night Nurse though. Now that
Yeah.
she's not here in any of the seasons, I kind of miss her.
Yeah, she
Fucking
was the
Luke Cage
constant.
drove her off, man.
She'll be back probably. Maybe.
Maybe.
Well, Luke
If
Cage
any
is
of these shows come
canceled,
back.
so
I mean, she could show up in Daredevil. He's
Yeah.
always
he's always
needs
getting the
stitch-
crap beat out of him. Yeah,
Man, I can't wait for you guys to finish that show.
poor
Oh, that's
Maddie.
I want
I'm
to talk
currently
about
working
it
through.
Yeah.
real bad.
Yep, I'm working through.
Man, it's good.
But yeah, this season was much better than last. Still not great.
Mm-hmm.
Not upset I
Watchable.
watched it though.
There wasn't
It was
any
a little
like
hard to get
moments
through
where-
knowing it was canceled.
Yeah.
Admittedly, so
Ward still like kind of confuses me because at the like half of the first half to 3/4 of the first season, he was the main villain and like constantly an antagonist, and fuck you, Danny, I'm not getting this company, all that kind of stuff.
yeah.
And then they're all buddy, and he winds up getting some chick in AA pregnant and all kinds of stuff. His thread might be my least favorite. I like his sister though; she's kind of a good bad guy.
I'm almost the opposite.
Really?
I think. Yeah, I thought he was way better this season, and I actually liked his story arc, and she annoyed the shit out of me the entire season.
I feel like she's a better villain. She enjoys being a villain better. Actually, they both do. And when they're good, it's a stretch, and it's harder for them to do.
Yeah,
Like when he was the
I
best
liked her.
part.
I liked her better as a villain than her,
Yeah,
or than him. I mean,
when he was at his best this year is when he was like drunk and being a dick.
yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. And then last but not least on the TV side, finished shows, we finished up season 2 of Big Mouth,
Yeah, we
the
did.
wonderfully dirty cartoon,
Very smart.
incredibly intelligent show. Guys is just toilet humor basically.
Mm-hmm.
This is Nick Kroll's baby. He
I love
plays
Nick Kroll.
several different characters. John Mulaney obviously is the other star of the show. Still dealing with puberty.
Yep.
Still dealing with masturbation a lot.
Mm-hmm. Now you got Shane though.
You do indeed
Introducing
have the shame wizard.
or Shane Lizard, as he's affectionately called by the coach.
Man, that coach is probably the best character on that
What
show.
does he say? I put my what into her warm. Like I put my thing into her warm. I can't remember what he calls it.
Call it a peen?
Peen?
Put my peen into her warm.
Yeah. And they're like, are you having sex? The Planned Parenthood episode was really, really smart, I thought.
Yeah.
Talking
Man.
about blue waffles. No.
I'm gonna have to check this out. You guys have described it as being super smart several times. I didn't realize Nick Kroll was behind it. I'd never really looked that closely at it, but I like.
Apparently,
it
a lot of his experiences have.
Yeah, because he
lot
writes
of
the
mini-
show,
yeah.
and I mean, he's one of the
Him and
main
John
voice
Mulaney,
cast too.
yeah.
But he does the coach voice. He does obviously one of the main kids, and he's several other characters too.
Mhm.
But got Jordan Peele in
he's-
there doing the Ghost of Duke Ellington.
Oh yeah. He wasn't in it enough for me, but I mean they had to make some room for Shane Lizard. I keep going the Shame Wizard. David Thewlis voiced him, and he was brilliant.
It is perfect.
The Shame song was really good, but man, the female empowerment body song was fucking genius. I even I showed that to Chris, and she's like, "Wow, that was really awesome."
Yeah, the show. I mean, again, it hides behind a lot of like crude humor and whatever.
Very
Like
low
fucking
brow.
pillows, a 3-way with pillows.
Yeah. There's totally a 3-way with where a dude just fucks 2 pillows.
Yeah.
He cheats on his bedroom pillow with the couch cushion.
Yeah. And then he walks in on them fucking, and then he just gets in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
this
like,
is my kind of humor.
He's also at the same time though, that same kid is also dealing with the coach like sleeping with his mom and like
Ooh.
his feelings about that, and like the coach also apparently had that happen to him with a guy named Gary, and so he's the kid's Gary. That's what he calls himself. I'll be your Gary.
I'll be your Gary.
It's man, like it deals with those like complex, very potentially touchy subjects, and like puts just enough humor on the top that you don't have. It's not like, oh man, like I don't know if I want to tackle this subject.
Right.
They put just enough humor on the top that you're okay with it, but you still get the kind of the lesson out of it, or in a lot of situations. And I feel like it happened more in the first season than the second, but like there are definitely still times in the second season where you're like, oh man, I can remember being 13 and feeling exactly like this.
Yeah.
Especially with the shame wizard, like
That kid that was fucking the pillows also told him, he was like, hey, I learned this trick where you should get a boner and tuck your boner between your legs. You could just stand up and jack yourself off. And they're like talking to him, and he's just stand up going.
that kid is insane.
Yeah.
But it's awesome.
When they were doing the Planned Parenthood episode, they were doing like a bachelor style show, but with contraceptives. It's like, which will you pick? It is like, the implant and the condom, and then there's the pull out method, and
the pull out method's just like a shitty 30-year-old single dad or something.
I was gonna say, like, that is not.
It's really funny because like she goes, it was a really hard choice, but I would go with the pull out method. He goes, yeah, girl, I'm gonna give you that sweet belly blam.
Well, I love Nick Kroll. I will watch just about anything.
Man, this show
with
is
him in it. He shows
It's his
up,
opus. It really is.
He shows up in Brooklyn Nine-Nine for an episode, and it's hysterical.
Do you know his pit bull? His pit bull featuring Ludacris?
No.
That's the name of the pit bull
featuring Ludacris.
Featuring Ludacris.
Have you met my pit bull featuring? Man, why pit bull? So fucking hard for me to say.
I don't know, but you fucked it up pretty hard.
It's a great joke.
Congratulations.
It's a great joke.
When Chuck's not telling it, it's a wonderful joke.
God, shut up, Josh. Jesus, get off my back.
He got excited because I talked about Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
What a bitch.
That checks out.
Which is a great show. It has been rescued by NBC and will be out next year.
Yeah.
It's all right.
It's a great show. If you've watched all of it, like I have, you would know.
I have not. I tried like 3 episodes and I couldn't do it anymore.
I watched through like 2 seasons. It's okay. I mean, you try to put it up against like Parks or Office or Scrubs or
no.
It's
See,
not an all-time
Sunny.
great that people think.
But you're talking about like you went 3 for 4 shows that aren't even on anymore, and trying to compare like, oh yeah, it was pretty good. It's no Seinfeld.
It's not. It's not,
like,
Justin.
It's like, holy
No
crap!
It's not any
Friends.
Seinfeld.
That's like saying like any current musician. It's like, well, they're pretty good. That bastard's no Bob Dylan.
I mean, when
He's
Parks
no
and Rec was
Beatles.
on, like 4 seasons in, I think you could have safely said, "This is up there with great sitcoms like Seinfeld," and no one would have been upset with you.
No, that's true.
Just saying.
That's
Yeah,
true.
so fuck you, Justin.
Take that.
Man, you just got a logic bomb from Trey.
Yep. How's that feel?
Pretty-
Man.
Are those pretzels making you thirsty yet?
I'm real
These
thirsty.
pretzels, they're making me thirsty.
God damn it, George Costanza is the greatest character on television. All right, let's talk about some movies. I think there's just 4 here. I'll start, I guess. I went to see The Grinch this weekend.
Cool.
Excellent.
Took the fam.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure how to feel about this. It seems
Another Grinch.
it's not been that long since Jim Carrey's live
It's
action.
been
Grinch.
longer than you think.
That's fair, but it doesn't feel like it's
It doesn't
been that
feel like
long.
it's long enough.
Yeah, it doesn't, or it didn't. This is Illumination again. The Despicable Me guys doing this. Benedict Cumberbatch voicing the Grinch.
Benedict
Man.
Cumberbatch making everything he touches better.
That's fair, including this, because this movie is really good.
Oh
Good.
shit! It's got Angela Lansbury in it.
It does have Angela Lansbury in
God,
it,
I'm a
Man.
Fansbury.
as you should
Really?
I am.
Me too. Yeah.
Everybody should be.
Your
a
hands are
Fansbury.
like fucking rocks. Don't touch me anymore. Unless you
Damn.
massage my feet, and then they're going to be like pumice stones.
I'm sorry.
No, they're sexy.
I'm gonna go
I can
home.
see how
And
you can get laid with those hands.
gonna go. Have
Those
to.
are worker hands.
Okay.
Anyway, so this obviously is technically still the story. It's just called The Grinch. They left out the Who Stole
How the
Christmas.
Grinch Stole Christmas. Yeah.
How about this? 18 years ago, that movie came out with Jim
Man,
Carrey.
it doesn't seem like
Wow.
it's been that long.
That
That's for
movie
sure.
is old enough to vote.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but much like Josh, it didn't register. Oh,
That's sad. Actually, it's not funny.
I will say though, even though it is,
well, he's got 2 more years to catch up.
even though he does still Christmas spoilers.
Josh?
Yes, but also
Oh.
The Grinch, basically the same thing.
Wait, I just got this flash of where the Grinch was Jewish, and it was like some sort of
How the Grinch
hate
stole
crime.
Hanukkah.
No, the Grinch. No, the Grinch was Jewish, and he was stealing Christmas.
Trace's
part-
better. Yours was
part-
a little
Yeah, no part.
anti-Semitic.
Part of my family is Jewish,
Oh.
so I'm not.
His best friends are Jewish. It's fine.
No,
Yeah, the neighborhood.
no, literally, I have family.
Just fucking with
My
you. You're
family.
fine, you're
Man.
fine.
Trey is zinging them out. I'm proud of you,
He is,
buddy.
man.
That was
Um,
hashtag Chuckish for sure.
Yeah.
Indeed.
He was on top
Anyway,
of that.
This movie is really good. It does just enough to differentiate itself. It's definitely not just the same story retold 18 years later. Obviously, again, there are some similarities. He has a heart that's 2 sizes too small.
The dog Max.
He does steal Christmas. Max is in it.
You have to have Max.
But, like, there's a whole lot more, like, at his house. They introduced this, like, great reindeer character. This
Is it
giant
that big,
fat reindeer,
that real big,
Yeah.
huge fat reindeer?
who's a fucking delight. Keenan and Kel, I forget that fucker's last name.
Keenan Thompson.
Yeah.
Yes.
He went to school with Kristen. We talked about this a lot. She knows who he is.
He voices like this guy who is convinced that he's the Grinch's best friend, and
Oh.
clearly the Grinch hates him. That dude is fucking hilarious. There's actually like Cindy Lou has like a legitimate storyline in this where
Oh, wow.
she's basically trying to like capture or like talk to Santa so that she can give her mom like basically a better life because she works super hard and whatever, works 2 jobs, takes care of the kids, single mom, all that. So it adds some storyline stuff like that, which is really cool.
Funny.
So what?
Funny.
It is funny. Is that what you're? Is that a question? Is that what you're doing?
Funny?
Yeah. There's no. You didn't go up at the end.
That's how you know it's a question.
You just said funny
Wait,
really quick and
That's
soft.
how you know it's a question? Is it better?
Yes, that is how you know it's a question.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. It's very, very funny. Lots of like cool gadgets they didn't have in any of the other movies that he makes to steal all the presents and shit. This is like an absolute. If you have kids, for sure, it's an absolute must-see movie.
Cool.
But even if you just like, if you like Despicable Me, if you like,
How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Did they do the song?
they do.
Awesome.
Is it a new recording?
Yeah, it is. It's a little modernized,
Did they?
and they also do the.
Did they
new-
ruin it the way
Christmas
that
song.
Fall Out Boy
No, they
ruined
did
the
not.
Ghostbusters theme?
They did not.
Okay.
They did not. Though that movie is a delight, despite that theme sucking.
No, I love the new Ghostbusters movie. I just
Chuck, tell me about the Outlaw King.
Outlaw King. This is the story of Robert the Bruce, who essentially took over the mantle of William Wallace as far as fighting back against England to get Scotland its freedom.
Hey.
Would you rather talk about your homeland, sir?
Oh no, you take it away. I'm just gonna sit here and enjoy it.
All right. Oddly enough, because a lot of this has a lot to do with William Wallace, Braveheart, etc.
It surely does.
And it does go into that one part where Robert the Bruce goes to William Longshanks, Edward the First. I don't know why they call him William Longshanks. The name of the king at that time was Edward the First. It was just his nickname was
Well, they
William.
called him Longshanks because he had long legs and he was gangly.
But why William? His name was Edward.
I don't know. Maybe because I was drunk when I came up with it. What the,
Okay.
Just
Sorry.
tell
My
the
bad.
story.
But it's good. One of the actors that was in Braveheart, Hamish's, I think, dad, that gets his arm chopped off and he's like swinging that's actually Robert the Bruce's father in this.
Nice.
That's cool.
But it's like disheartening at first because he gathers. A lot of people don't want to of course, go against the giant, English, well-funded, well-armored, well-trained army.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, he was trying to get together some lords that have been beaten down. Of course, William Wallace was in hiding, and then they go into town, and part of William Wallace was in town, strung up.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know if you know the story of what they did to him, but not only did they disembowel him,
Mm-hmm.
they draw and quartered him, and then they beheaded him, dipped his head in tar so it would preserve better, and put his head up on a pike on the bridge of London, leading into London, the London Bridge.
Yep.
But
I heard it's falling down.
not at that point.
Well, and a lot of people. Good Lord, damn it, Fergie! Why did you have to record that stupid ass song? A lot of people don't. When you say drawn and quartered, a lot of people don't.
No,
I'm just saying a lot of people don't understand that literally means they're cutting you into quarters, into four pieces.
4 different horses tied to 4 different parts of your body. They say "yeah," and the rest writes itself. But they took part of him, hung him up, and it kind of riles up Robert the Bruce to fight. And then he murders a guy because he's like, "Me and you, we have to do this." He's like, "No, I'm not going to do it. I don't want to tell Longchain." He's like, "Yeah," and it kills him in the church. And the church is like, "Hey, if you swear fealty to the church, well," and he's like, "Cool." Done.
Oh, the church.
Dunzo. But then, a bunch of shit happens, and at one point, he's down to him and 40 men against England. It's
right.
there's some disheartening pieces to it, but much like what they did in Braveheart, they actually took a lot of the story from Robert the Bruce and added it into as William Wallace did it. He didn't. William Wallace was more or less a guerrilla fighter, and that's what they wound up happening in this movie, where they're attacking, getting a lot of their lands back, and then fucking burning it down so they can't use it anymore. So they got their people out,
Right.
and they burned their castles down. And it was really, really smart. And then it felt it took a long.
And they also didn't use the traditional tactics of the time. So it was kind of like the way that we fought off the British during the American Revolution.
Right.
We weren't following the regular rules of let's all stand around and shoot at each other. They were using more guerrilla-style tactics.
Yeah, because they only have 40 people.
You can't just line up in a row and run at the other guys. You're going to get, slaughtered. So they used very different tactics.
Yeah, and a lot of the way that they show it and tell it is very smart. There's a guy in here. His name is Douglas, but the Longshanks took his name. You can't be called that anymore. All your lands are mine. And the entire time, when he was fighting people, he's just like, "What's my name?" And he reminds me of Stephen from Braveheart.
Yeah,
he is a fucking madman. He is definitely going to be on my character of the year list because he is an unstoppable murder
I'm
machine.
excited to watch this.
It's good, man. A lot of people gave it some junk as far as the trailer is concerned, because it looked kind of cheap almost. But the cheapness in the way it was made, or economic, made it feel more real. It's very visceral. It's very gritty. There's some real bloody parts in this.
How long is it?
Hour and 40 minutes.
Okay.
Now, I will tell you that the first 2/3 is pretty slow because it's building up to the fight, and you're like, man, there's only 20 minutes left in this movie. Is there going to be a fight? There's a fight.
Gotcha.
A lot happens in a short amount of time, but the payoff is well worth it.
All right. Yeah, I'm definitely going to watch this. It sounds pretty cool.
There are also some spectacular titties in it, so
there you go.
Just
So don't watch this one with Lane.
No, don't do it just for the I mean, I told
just
you that
for
you
the
see
violence.
a piece of a man hanging in the town. A quarter
Is that
of
not
him.
where you normally see a piece of a man?
Hanging from the nearest yard arm.
It's good though. I liked it a lot.
All right. Good deal. Yeah, I'm excited to watch that one.
How is really quickly? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
How
you're
is
good.
how is Chris Pine's performance? Does he try to pull off a Scottish accent?
He does, and it's not bad.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't call him.
I'm asking because you're both someone whose opinion I respect on television. You're also an actor, so sometimes you see people trying to do accents, and it's painful.
It wasn't. It was. It was. Mel Gibson level. I mean, you could tell he's not originally from Scotland, but it's not enough to be noticeably
Not
bad
play
or
out,
distracting
painfully
or
awful
anything.
Yeah,
But you do get to see his dick.
I didn't ask about whether or not I got to see Chris Pine's dick.
Well, it's a very good actor.
Okay.
It pulls off a Scottish brogue quite well.
It's got a slightly better accent than Chris Pine
It
himself.
does.
Right.
Sounds a wee bit like a young Sean Connery, if you ask me, but that's not here or there. All right.
Oh man, I kind of wish you would have spoken in a Scottish accent the entire show.
Well, I could do that the next time. If you'd like to have me back, I can do the entire
Next
show.
time.
We should just introduce you as an entirely different person.
Oh, we could do that
Next
if you
time.
like. Yeah, that's
You
absolutely.
could go Mrs. Doubtfire on us.
Oh, hello. dear. Would you like one number 2?
God damn it, I love that movie.
Oh, he was never one much for foreplay. The most he ever said was, "Brace yourself, Effie." That's one of my favorite lines in the entire movie.
As it should be.
Love it so much.
Yeah, that movie is absolutely fucking wonderful. Anyways, another movie that's not as wonderful, but still pretty solid. One me and Evan went to see in Knoxville after the UT game a couple weekends ago. Mid-90s. It's a Jonah Hill joint. Basically, a kind of love letter to 90s skate culture, which I will admit not to relate to very well. So I think that
You didn't gleam the cube,
I did not.
or you did, but it was totally different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not in the way you're saying. No, this movie is very well shot. Almost like visceral. It's borderline looks like a documentary. Like there's a lot of handheld camera stuff. Very low budget. It's basically the story is about this young kid, like probably 12 or maybe 13 years old. I don't think they say, but I could be wrong about that. Anyways, he's his single mom, older brother who beats the shit out of him. He basically is like looking for kind of somewhere to belong and finds a skate shop with a bunch of ridiculous, very not PC people. They lean into the fact that this is the 90s and certain words and phrases were much more accepted back then than they are now.
Josh, don't say them on the podcast. God, somebody might hear you.
Probably the only one I'm comfortable saying out loud is they constantly talk about like, don't say that, that's gay. Like, which again is not, it's whatever, but like, that's definitely not something I haven't heard anyone say that in a very long time, probably since I was in high school. And just like a lot of the language and like the slang and stuff that they use, it's used in such a way that it's very clear that, at least to me, it seemed clear that Jonah Hill was making like an obvious point that this stuff now sounds incredibly out of place and like jarring in a way that like you almost laugh when they like say some of it, because it's just like, man, like this is kind of uncomfortable, but also everyone used to say this, including me, like at one point in my life. So and that way it's pretty cool. The skating stuff is all right. Again, it's not something I relate to super well. It's basically just about him though hanging out. He as a 12-year-old smokes a lot of weed, gets drunk a lot, and at one point has his first semi-sexual experience with a much older girl. That again is like a really awkward moment. You're like, I don't know if I should be comfortable about this because it might be statutory rape. But hearing him talk awkwardly about the experience to his buddies later is really fucking funny. But yeah, overall it's kind of a short, quick, just a summer in the life of this kid who's kind of has it rough, but probably survives and goes on to be like middle management somewhere at the end of the day. Lucas Hedges is randomly in it as the older brother. I think he's supposed to be autistic. he's like kind of weird, and he constantly carries around orange juice wherever he goes. And like initially seems like the cooler older brother, but then you kind of realize he maybe is also struggling kind of to fit in just as much as the little kid is. And there's a scene definitely where he kind of loses his shit in a way that made me think, oh, like I think this kid is supposed to be autistic in a time where no one really knew much about autism, and certainly weren't diagnosing kids with autism in the way that obviously we are now.
Right.
And probably just thought this kid has a hard time adjusting or whatever, and, labeled it as that versus, a legitimate thing. So, anyways, I don't know. It's a really good movie. It's not going to be my top 10 or anything, but it's well acted. If you were into skate culture in the 90s, it's probably really fucking good for you.
I wished that I, at the time, was cool enough to be in
skateboard?
skate culture, but I
was on rollerblades.
I
so that
owned.
tells you anything.
Well, I did both. I had rollerblades and I had a skateboard, but I didn't actually use the skateboard very much.
I can't use anything on the wheels outside of a vehicle.
Wow.
I get on a skateboard and I fall off like,
Oh yeah.
Trying to get a dog to land on his feet when you drop him from a foot.
Oh,
and
that's
just
why
flops on
I
his
went
back.
to the rollerblades, because then they were stuck to my feet.
Still couldn't do
They
it.
couldn't leave me.
Nope, still couldn't do it.
I can rollerblade
I
all
tip
right.
off. I
Yeah.
tip over.
I went to skate park
I can't
a little bit
roller
when I was
skate. I
younger.
can't roller blade. I can't use a fucking scooter. I can't do any of that stuff.
Really?
Yeah. Oh,
Interesting.
wheelies. Almost kill myself. Or Heelys.
Heelys.
Yeah, Helix. Yeah,
I was
Helix.
like, wheelies are a pretty hard thing to do,
I
on,
was
like a bicycle or anything.
I was
You
like
can't ride a
imagining
bike?
him trying to like pop a wheelie on a BMX.
I can't ride a bike.
Okay.
Well, there you go. Out of all of the things that we just talked about, that's the only one that's practical for anything. Like, used to be used as an actual form of transportation, so I don't know if I'd worry all that much about the rest of it.
I do
Touche.
sometimes
It was
kind of
me.
want to rollerblade again, though.
God, I'd love to see that.
I think I'd be still all right at it. I'd be winded quickly.
I'll tell you
but
the
other than that,
I'll tell you the one thing.
That's the reason.
The one good thing about
You
learning how to
watch me
rollerblade.
do anything else and see me winded quickly.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, stand up and walk over there.
Yeah.
Hey, look, there's Trey winded.
No sleeping.
Lay down and go to sleep.
I'm winded right now.
I'm constantly in a state of windedness. No, the one thing, the one good thing about rollerblading was I'm a fair to middling ice skater.
Fair to Midland.
So
I've ice skated like
those-
3 times in my life.
those
Definitely a better
skills
rollerblader. Yeah, you definitely translate.
Pretty
I
well.
skated once and took out like a whole row of kids.
Yeah, I could see that.
It was funny.
Then you
It
put on
was
the
like
ice skates.
After I beat the crap out of all those kids on purpose.
It was like one of those like sitcom things where I'm like skating, I think I'm doing good, and I like fall down and I'm going forward real fast, and I look up and there's like 4 kids all holding hands. And I'm like, look out! And they turn around and look and go, ah! And then I hit the middle 2 and they all fly, and then I just careen into the wall. And, poof. And then I take
And
my
Chuck
skates
scored
off
6
and
points and won the game.
took my skates off and
Went home.
left. It was in Rockefeller Plaza, so I couldn't go home immediately, but at some point I did.
Last but I don't think least, I guess we're about to find out. Chuck, tell me about Apostle.
Okay, I will try my best. This
How
movie,
shallow is it?
I don't think I could even if I wanted to.
Oh, I enjoyed it, by the way. Last movies podcast when you.
Open House?
Yeah, when you.
Jesus Christ.
Well, no, I'm just saying I
That
appreciated you.
So that you won't have
shallowsing
to.
it. Yeah. Now this, I don't want you to, but
No, and there are parts of this movie that, okay, so this takes place in the early 1900s. Dan Stevens plays like this drifter brother that gets called into by his dad into a service of sorts to go and infiltrate this cult on an island because his sister's been kidnapped for ransom by this cult. So he's going to infiltrate the cult, get his sister back, get out. Other than that, I don't know what the fuck is going on in this movie. There is some really, really, really bloody stuff in it. Like, I mean, whew, Al ain't got nothing on this kind of gore. You know what I'm saying?
wow.
So there's this one scene where they're like, this kid this girl gets murdered and he's trying to defend her, and the dad of the daughter who killed the daughter like because she's impure or whatever.
Right.
He grabs the kid, puts him in this torture device, and at the end of it, there is like a hand crank drill with a circular saw blade on the outside of it, and it's just and like until it's all the way in, and then he pulls it out, and there's a gaping hole on top of this kid's head, and he like puts like this like feather in it to like bless him and send him on his way. But then I'm not gonna get it. Do you guys ever want to watch this?
No.
I don't know.
You're not going to remember what he says anyway. Go ahead and tell us.
Go ahead.
It's not really well acted. I love Dan Stevens. He's like one of my favorites now.
Okay.
But he's just kind of there. There's not anything.
Kind of like Julia Roberts and that other thing.
Sort of. Yeah, there are
Not
parts
bad,
where he gets
just-
scared, but he's still just kind of there. Also, that one dude from Masters of Sex, the guy.
Michael Sheen.
Yes, he is the cult leader.
Okay.
He's actually
I
pretty
can see
good.
that.
Now, the guy who
Yeah.
plays
Very charismatic.
the guy, he violently takes over the cult. His name is Quinn. He's pretty good.
Is he a doctor?
No.
So not a medicine woman.
No.
Okay.
Sorry, man.
No, that's right.
Maybe
Just
next
trying to
time.
follow along.
His wife, on the other hand.
Oh.
But not a doctor. So, anywho, so it turns out that like all these cult, like every night the cult people have to like fill up this jar of blood, and Dan Stevens just doesn't want to do that, so he like just reaches and they close the door and go to bed, and he sneaks out and looks for his sister. He just grabs the jar of blood, fills it into his jar, and puts it next to his door so that he's like fitting in, of course. And you're like, why are they doing this? What the fuck kind of weird cult?
What do they need blood
Somebody
for?
tries to assassinate the leader, and he saves them. So that he's like, I owe you my life. You're part of us. You're part of the family. I can trust you. And so that lets him get in deeper and stuff like that. You find out that they're taking this blood and feeding some sort of witch goddess thing that lives in this old ass barn. That's like kind of like the old guy from Game of Thrones is part of the fucking tree.
Right.
But she's like part of
The three-eyed raven.
Yes, she's part of this barn thing, and whenever they feed her blood, it fertilizes the land that they're on. So they get in new recruits, they take one of them, kill them, slice them up, feed it to the lady. She doesn't like it. She don't want to be there, and then it grows other stuff. And she has this one guy that like takes care of her, who is in this like torture mask kind of thing that goes all the way around. You never see his face, but it's like made out of wicker.
What the fuck?
There's this one part that is really, really gross. Like it was crazy how graphic and visceral it was. Because I'm pretty sure Dan Stevens lost most of his hand. But like that's how they did it. But this guy like knocks out Dan Stevens.
Right.
He wakes up. He's got his hands above his head, and there's big like hooks in them,
Like through his hand.
like through his hand.
Okay.
Both of them.
Okay.
And then there's other hooks like attached like in his shoulder, in his skin.
Yeah.
And other ones in his legs.
Oh.
And they're all on like wires. He's like, what the fuck? He's like looking around, and that guy that's in the mask doesn't say anything, but he goes and takes this hand crank, and he takes a crank, and there's these two like old school meat grinder like roller things with spikes, and he's just slowly rolling him up, and he's on the ground at first, but the hooks are like pulling him up, and he can't stop it because he's just in a lot of pain. And then it gets down to the point where it gets his hand, and you see it like both of his hands go into it, and about maybe 6 or 7 fingers come out. Because he like he's in a lot of pain, but then one of the hooks comes out, and he pulls his hand out, and it's just gone.
Jesus
and it is
Christ.
it never leaves that shot. So I don't know how they fucking did it, but it looked like it literally took part of his hand off.
They took his hand off.
But then Dan Stevens gets away.
He's a method actor.
He puts that dude in the crank and cranks it up, and just that guy's just, he is bleh. He's
Sandwich meat.
dead. But it's
All right.
really fucking weird. And at the end of it, like Dan Stevens is laying, and he has this connection with the lady for some reason. His sister gets away with this other super hot
The
girl,
barn lady. He has a connection with the barn lady.
the barn lady,
Okay.
and she dies. He sets her on fire, to release her, and he's leaving, but he can't because he's bleeding. He gets in a fight with Quinn. Oh, there's this really gross thing where he like shoves this like knife spike thing in his chest.
Yeah.
And he's holding it there, and he's trying to grab these girls, and the girls are like holding onto his arms and like pulling him, and Dan Stevens just grabs it and pulls it down, and it's just like all over the place. It's gross.
Excellent podcast audio.
But then he's bleeding to death, and he lays down on this hill at the very end, and Michael Sheen is like hanging out with him. He's been ousted from his spot. Everything's on fire for some reason. Like you never see anything light a fire, but I guess when he threw the fire on the witch, it lit the village on fire too. Huh. It's fucking weird, man. And then all of a sudden, like some of his blood starts dripping on the land, and the land starts growing, and then it like absorbs him, and it's growing like through his skin and shit, and absorbs him. So I guess he's the new thing. I don't know how I feel about this movie. Parts of it were kind of cool. Parts of it were really fucking boring, but hardly
parts of it were really, really gory.
Hardly any of it I understood.
Despite that, I think you may have just shallowed that movie.
Sorry.
I am really damn close.
I enjoyed that though.
I'm not complaining. I'm just pointing it out.
That was the shallowest Cliff's Notes.
Okay.
Fair enough.
All right.
Cool, so that's gonna do it for another week here at Free for All. I'm too tired to think of what I'm supposed to say next.
Josh is already asleep.
He gurgled something about it being 2 a.m. and then
gurgled some ball sack.
As he is wont to do.
as is his custom.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We will see you next week.
Bye, y'all. That's fun.